Hi, everyone. Hi, Adrian. Adrian, can you again introduce yourself for those who are watching us for the first time?
Hello, Eve. Yes, nice to see you again. My name is Professor Adrian Beck. I'm the academic advisor to the ECR Retail Loss Group and an emeritus professor at the University of Leicester.
And today we're actually talking about yesterday's discussion of the ECR loss prevention group, and it was about video analytics. It
Yes,
was
that's
actually very, very interesting, and I think I'll just jump into it. What was the first presenter talking about, and what was the application, and what did you take out of it?
Yeah, it was a great session, and I think the number of people who attended it live was really interesting in terms of really showing the amount of interest that there is in video analytics in retailing. And what we had were two really different ways in which people were utilizing video analytics. The first one, as you say, was relatively straightforward. It was about just using a video analytic to understand whether there was any obstructions in front of a fire escape. Really simple, really clear objective, but actually for that organization, really very important, because the consequence of that being blocked, if they had were being looked at by OHSA in terms of they were likely to get a fine if they were found to have stores where their fire exits were blocked. So for them, it was a very clear desire to get an analytic that enabled them to make sure that they were compliant around health and safety, because if they weren't, there were clear financial imperatives for not doing that.
So very simple applications, not connected to shoplifting, and it was a little bit of the eye-opener for both of us. I think you mentioned that it's interesting how simple applications will help with a clear outcome and business case, which is outside of the loss or shrink investigation, right?
Yeah, I think when we completed the report last year on the use of video in retailing, one of the clear findings around video analytics was this relationship between the clarity of purpose and the complexity of the environment in which it's used. And where you have a lack of clarity in highly complex environments, we find that video analytics struggle to work well. And so the first case study was a good example where they had very clear purpose. We want to know when a fire exit is blocked. And they also had a relatively uncomplicated environment. Not very many people passed through that space, and that space either was blocked or it wasn't. So you had a very clear, very straightforward approach to what they wanted that video analytic to do. And they showed that it was very successful in their environment. They were able to make sure that stores were compliant. And for them, that was very important, because if they weren't, it was going to cost them money.
Yeah, and for me, what was interesting, because this type of analytics is already on the market for 20 years, and it really works. The accuracy of it quite high independently on the conditions. It's already like a high quality, very working commodity type of analytics, which we see every day in many other verticals. That made me think that we as the manufacturers and technology manufacturers, we have this constant urge to bring more technology, more complicated and interesting scenarios. And of course, while it's cooking, we already want to implement it somewhere on the floor. And this is where you say, it's like when we see the environment of the retail, it's very difficult for the video analytics to identify the potential theft, for example. And but we still want it. So sometimes we just need to stop wanting and kind of control this urge of pushing new technology and actually look for applications and outcomes which bring this simple value and the really clear return on investment with technologies which we have. We just don't think how to apply it. So
yes.
I
think you're right. I think you're right, Eve. I think there is this this constant drive for the appliance of science to solve problems. And actually, I think the challenge within retail has been is that we've been trying to focus video analytics on incredibly difficult problems to solve. Please identify me a shoplifter, preferably before they've done it. And that's really hard. And actually, what it's showing is a lack of imagination in terms of how video analytics can be used across the retail environment beyond those very thorny crime-related issues and saying, hey, you know, there's a whole basket of things that we're struggling with in retail. Can we begin to utilize video analytics to solve some of these other issues that may be much more applicable? And as you say, you know, that it's been proven that these technologies can work, but perhaps the problem's been is that we haven't had the right people thinking about how they could be applied in a given retail environment to solve a particular retail problem.
Yeah, so we're going back to this cross collaboration. It's a collaboration with the manufacturers. This is collaboration cross departments in retail, and it's bringing us back to the discussion we had about video SAR. We need this mindset of thinking beyond security, beyond safety, to find the applications from IT, from marketing, from operations, from a legal, from compliance perspective, and this is a great example of it. So, what was the second one?
Well, I think that leads very nicely, Eve, into that second case study we had from Whole Foods and Mike Lamara, who presented that, where he showed that he was using it for, you know, a whole host of really interesting related issues, you know, around the pandemic in terms of monitoring the number of customers entering his stores, also in terms of social distancing within stores. You know, really interesting use cases around that. But what he was also you know, keen to show was that he was thinking beyond the pandemic and saying, how can we begin to utilize these existing technologies, these existing analytics to help the organization going forward? So, for instance, he was saying, you know, yes, at the moment we're using it around trying to identify social distancing, but can we then begin to use this technology, for instance, to do queue monitoring, for instance? You know, how can we begin to serve our customers better by making sure that we respond more quickly to a buildup of customers at checkouts, because we know it's a great frustration for customers. So he was really showing how he was using it at this time to solve a very specific and pandemic related problem, but hopefully then beginning to reimagine how that technology can be reutilized in future to help the business be more successful in terms of keeping customers happy in terms of the way that they interact in the stores.
Yeah, and I can only confirm it from the perspective of my clients. I think that one of the analytics, or actually two of the analytics, which I see the most useful out of the variety which we tested, is people count and queue management. People counter right now with the COVID situations also can help with regulations, and right now they're changing like the mushrooms after the rain. And like today you want 5 people, tomorrow 10 people, the day after 2 people. So it needs to be flexible, but in the end of the day, we will get out of this situation, and we don't want to have an investment in something which is going to be just a temporary solution. And this is a great example of it, because after that you can reuse it for occupancy, to understand conversion rates, to understand the quality of service in terms of the waiting times. And this is also simple, and we see the pattern when the branches or retail shops where they measure customer service has a better sales and revenues in comparison to the same shop around the corner where they just don't know. Yeah. I think it's already quite proven information on that. So that was a great example of something, again, simple, working, and available.
Yes, that's right. You know, and I think it's, you know, it is a very exciting area. This, you know, I think you know, we've people have been, you know, talking a lot about video analytics, haven't they, over the years? You know, sort of machine learning, AI, all these sorts of things. And I think, you know, what we saw yesterday from those presentations was it's about imagination. It's about how can we begin to utilize this technology to enable our organizations to do better at what it wants to do. And you know, that's just about implementation. It's about understanding the technology, and it's about understanding the environment you want to use it in. But critically, it's really answering the question, which is, what do we want it to do? What are we wanting it to solve? You know, what is the problem we want to address? And that's where we need very clear thinking when we begin to try and use video analytics, and not to make sure that we're trying to solve something that is inherently incredibly difficult. But actually, we need to be very clear in our purpose as to what we want these analytics to do. And if we are, then I think we're going to see some great success.
Great points. Well, I am now looking forward to next discussion, which is going to be about what?
Well, we're moving on to the world of self-checkout and how we can begin to use, video and video analytics to begin to try and address some of the, really growing and concerning issues around losses associated with self-checkout. So should be another great session, Eve.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to catch up with you a couple of days before the session.
Sure thing.
Okay. Have a great day. Have a great day, everybody. Hope to see you soon. Bye.